Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. The gifting badge has indeed been Thanos'd. It is incredibly sad, but at the same time, we'll see it at Christmas. I'm not going to take this as a joke, I'm actually going to be quite serious on the matter. The gifting badge is a real shame that this has been removed. There are some good reasons behind it, but also I feel that the compensation package that has come out in conjunction with this isn't really facilitating players. It doesn't really feel like someone to myself that bought this for 850 units back in the day, $28.99. What I'm getting back, the value isn't exactly the same, but let's kind of deep dive this. Right, let's get down to business. I'm going to be taking this seriously, so a little joke to begin with, but at the same time, I am going to take this seriously. I'm a bit bummed that the compensation package isn't really as good as what I think a lot of us were expecting back, and I was expecting more. I would settle for 850 units, but I'll get on to that subject in a moment. There are a few people that have contacted me with information saying that they want to out certain people in the community that they know have done this, and that is the fraudulent side of things and the way that the gifting badge has been abused. Now, there are many sites that are still up now where the transfer of units is a thing, but also the idea that you can basically pay for services of resource grinding services in Arena and certain other things, and the abuse of this badge is applicable to that. The gifting badge is something that, if you're not familiar with it, you can purchase it. It comes with a unit pack, and sometimes it's given out at very specific times of the year. So, for example, more than likely once a year at Christmas, the gifting event. But the impact of its fraudulent activity has meant that Kabam have had to make a stand. Now, I do agree with the standpoint that if people are abusing something and fraudulently abusing it, then yes, you've got to take a stand. This type of thing happens in all shapes and forms in different games. Personally, I've had first-hand experience and been involved with the gold side of things in World of Warcraft to a point that my account got banned. And I was like, well, screw this then, I'm not going to play something else. But I knew from that, I learned my lesson that you've got to grind out games just the most natural way possible. And I'm not going to feel embarrassed by the fact because everybody in World of Warcraft was buying gold, selling gold, farming gold. It was a very much monetary thing, like a kind of merc services or a higher service. People were doing it. Everybody was doing it. But when I started playing Marvel Contest of Champions, well, a lot of games between the point of me finishing playing World of Warcraft and picking up other games, I knew that I just wanted to kind of grind games out more cleanly and never really touch that kind of stuff again. Sites applicable to Marvel Contest of Champions and this kind of way of grinding out units and kind of fraudulent activity with fake credit cards are still a thing in the community, which is really disappointing, but all games seem to have this. Even here with item gifting. Now, this won't be applicable anymore, so this person's out of business. A lot of people, they may think that the way that the hammer has gone down by Kabam isn't exactly in the correct area. We would love to see more of a strong punishment to those that are either noticeably flagged for doing these kind of things, but it's just not something I think that Kabam are in the market to do at the moment. So for example, if you go, okay, so this person is notably a banned person for whatever reason and has some kind of like notified thing behind them, they'll get alienated from alliances, they'll get singled out by the community. More than likely it will stem to bullying in some kind of shape or form, and I think that's the reason that they won't go down that route. Even though Kabam go that they look to hopefully get the badge back in future, I think we're never going to see this again. We'll only see this for gifting events once a year, so expect this to be either December or for some reason that they could decide to do a second run of the year, but more than likely it's the gifting event at Christmas. This now gets us on to the subject of the compensation package and people's thoughts. Like, I'm not going to treat this too kind of like newsy. A lot of the news is just me kind of like trying to kind of report this as a reporter, but yeah, I've got to be honest, like how I feel about this, and also I'm going to be reading some of the thoughts from people's as well. On the subject of the compensation package, 300 units, yes. 550 out. Like, I would have either preferred it to be 850 units, or, which a lot of people are calling for, a complete monetary refund. Now, I'll take it or leave it with either of them. I would have said I was happy to receive 850 units, or it was a case that the monetary side of things is being refunded. Now, that's going to cost Kabam a lot more money, and I don't know why they didn't kind of go, well, we'll just smooth things over. It's in-game currency. It's not going to cost them anything. So why not do it? Why not just send back 850 units? It seems that I'm not alone with that way of thinking, and even speaking to some unbiased people that don't play Marvel Contest of Champions, to get that kind of level of feedback that, well, either number one, you should be refunded, or number two, you should have the equal value given to you in game, seems to ring very much true. So, as I said, very odd from Kabam's perspective. In-game currency is free, and at the same time, I think, like I said, if people were going to get 850 units instead of getting the monetary aspect back to it, then they'd probably go, okay, I'll settle for it. It wouldn't be the perfect solution, but it would be something to go, do you know what? If Kabam want to keep their money, that's fine. Just give me the equal units that I'm due. Also, one of the other side of things that is really annoying is the time that anybody messes up in war. Say your fellow alliance mate is kind of downed in war, and you're like, right, I want to send a revive, I want to send some health potions their way. They run out of glory, especially when it comes to like higher alliances that would say blast through glory a lot more quickly. They would have to kind of grind out units themselves, also pay more money in order to get that. So it kind of sucks that a fellow alliance mate can't then send through those resources that are able to allow that alliance mate to then get back into the war, clear their path, clear their lane. So that kind of sucks. That aspect does really suck. Also, people are pointing out that since the release of Act 6 a couple of weeks ago, this seems to be very much going kind of hand in hand. They seem to be like running on parallel. And if you remember, we covered it on Sunday that the gifting badge had been removed from the account, from people's accounts, and it was or they weren't able to buy it first and foremost. So it was kind of weird how this all came to be. So it would, I don't think anybody's got the balls to stand up and just say, hey, that was me, because I think the community would have a few things to say about whoever was responsible for all this kind of like fraudulent stuff. But obviously do bear in mind that this is something that goes on in all games. It's just annoying the stance that Kabam have taken on this particular subject. Oh, and the 300 units side of things of the compensation. Mike has responded to a lot of the only one of the comments, and it really kind of addresses like what it's all about, and it's talking about like real world fraudulent activity, not in-game fraudulent activity, but kind of out there, which does pinpoint to the kind of sites that we talked about, and the kind of idea that, well, kind of merc services, fraudulent credit cards, fake credit cards to be exact. So look, this is really, really annoying to kind of see that people are still doing this, because this has been done before. Last year it happened with 2 Marvel Contest of Champions YouTubers who were involved in it. There was a lot of other people involved with it as well, but mainly those are the ones that are outed. People were saying like, well, why don't you just ban the accounts that are associated with it? And it's like Mike was saying that this is more of an ongoing issue. So people create a new account, they get the gifting badge, and then the whole process of fraudulent activity starts again. Mike confirms that these people weren't legitimately grinding units. It was a case that it was fraudulent activity in order to maybe get said units to then transfer from one account to another. Okay, so here's where I think that I don't really agree with this response, especially considering that they can't really put a value on the gifting badge. Yeah, okay, it's something with 0 value. I agree. But the fact is, putting 300 units isn't really putting a value to it, especially when you're considering you're dealing with your customers here, your consumers, and it doesn't cost you to give back people 850 units. And even going as far to say in this last line here that people would have purchased it for the gifting badge, not the units. I'm sorry, what? People want units. That is another aspect to it. If people can only afford to get that particular deal, maybe because they've been giving a present for Christmas, that is a Google Play card, iTunes card. They've also got the money, and they're like, man, I really want to kind of get something in game. Oh, if I get the briefcase, I get the gifting badge and I get some units as well, and I'm not spending quite so much. To bear in mind, £30 is a lot of money to a lot of people. So being respectful about that monetary aspect is really important. You kind of think that's like that's a video game that you get to keep for real, instead of spending it in a game where it just ultimately can go into nothingness. You can maybe not get anything of value from it. You take a gamble if you go with crystals, or you grind through content. So you're spending those units on revives, on health potions. So I don't really like this response. And obviously through this, I've got to give props to Mike, because he's the only one in there getting people's flack, and there's a lot of people. There's tens of thousands of views on this. There's hundreds of comments, and obviously they are aimed on the fact that they don't believe in the compensation package being as good. Now, again, like, let me just reiterate, as I said at the start of this, This, I reckon, could be avoided for the time being if they either, number one, they returned back 850 units. And look, it's in-game currency. It's not going to cost Kabam a penny for doing that. Or the second thing, that they look towards some sort of monetary refund, which I know they're not going to do. So if they did the first thing, would we have seen a lot of this here? I would probably say no. No, we wouldn't. If they went and said, here's 850 units, or maybe even said, like, here's a little bit something extra as well, it doesn't cost them a penny, and it probably would have just smoothed things over for the time being. And if Kabam go down this route again with anything like this, just think a little bit more about it. And it's good PR, you know, it's like business logic 101 with this stuff. If you don't want a refund and you've got in-game currency you can give out for free, just give it out for free. Now there are 29 pages to go through of information, a link to the post in the description below. Have your say before the discussion is obviously closed, and obviously if you want to have a say, put it in the comment section below as well. But there seems to be 2 points that, you know, there's lots of, everyone has different points. There's people that are set in support of Kabam. And look, let me just stipulate it down to 2 points. Point number one is that I agree that Kabam need to deal with this fraudulent activity, as this is real world problems. This is going to affect a lot more than ever. Credit card fraud is absolutely, it's completely disgusting. It's a horrible thing. And also the second side of things is that Kabam could have avoided a lot of stuff, a lot of the time and effort wasted on answering back, even Mike wasting his time answering back with people by just sending through 850 units. It's a no-brainer. Really don't know why that wasn't a thing, as could just save so much trouble, and he could focus on other things rather than worrying about responding back to people, rather than thinking that this is going to blow up. This shouldn't have had to have blown up if he just refunded back the people 850 units, or even said in the messages something like the gifting badge will temporarily come back for December, and something like that, or until we can like come to a fixes. We all know this, the gifting badge won't come back. This is probably a case it will just be coming back for the gifting event at the end of the year, and there may be only specific items. I bet revives and health, I'm calling it now, revives and health potions and other things that are going to help out players are not going to be in the gifting badge or the gifting event in December. I'll call it now. If we're all playing the game and it's still alive with stuff like this that happens, oh god, then yeah, I'm calling it now. So there we have it. That has been a video all about the gifting badge and my thoughts and my opinions on it, and as well looking at some of the things that have been responded back from Kabam Mike on the subject. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Maybe have a comment if you want to about the gifting badge situation and how you feel. And obviously don't try and fall out on the subject. We all seem to be pretty much aligned with the same way of thinking, but if any case you want to put some feedback, go to the forum post and have your say as well. And finally, see you later on for the live stream. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.